Welcome back to Mask of None. My name is Rodney. I need to adjust this camera. Hold on a second. How about now? I'm rested. Ready to play with some templates. A part of me feels like I should just record in regular time because I can talk at the same time that I'm doing what I'm doing, and when I run into a problem, I can kind of talk through it. Maybe it'll cover some questions that you would have had. But at the same time, I know a lot of people don't really want to sit through, an hour or hours of a video. So maybe what I'll do is, if I run into a problem, I'll pause it, record in regular speed, and maybe talk about that. But anything else in this process that's common because I've done it in other videos, it'll just be in that quick time. So got a lot of the day ahead of us. I don't see any reason why I can't get at least the major pieces cut and ready to glue to the mannequin. But let's get going and see how see how everything turns out. All right, so here's the first problem that I need to solve. Okay, now as I showed in the earlier video, this is the ab piece, and if you're familiar with the statuette for Red Death and you've seen his abs, there's a couple of different things that I can do. From the simple to the hard. So this is the base piece, and I always like to draw things out on a base piece so I know where to glue things. So I could actually take a thicker piece of foam than the one that I have. Probably should have, let me see, how many millimeters is this? This is 3 millimeters thick. The foam that you're looking at right now is 3 millimeters thick. I could take maybe something that's 5 or 6 millimeters, cut this same pattern into it, and either carve lines into it and heat it up, and then you'll see, you'd see this effect. I can cut strips of foam in different thicknesses and glue it to the surface and see how that looks. I could also try to carve a thicker piece where the edges are really embedded. That's a lot of work. It's not something I necessarily want to do, and there's no guarantee that I'll get the effect that I'm looking for. So I think what I'm gonna try is different types of foam. Matter of fact, let me grab something. Look at my dirty basement. Foam City. All right. So I could take these. I'll take these over to the table, and then we can resume this conversation. There's the ladies. So I have these foam dowels. Some are round, some are square. They're flexible. I can already see they're not as thick as the spaces. that I've drawn out. Like when you get up to the wider ones, it's not as thick. It would take a couple of them, or it would depend upon how I cut the foam. I could, I could cut something, whether it's this or a thicker piece of foam, and angle it and then glue it to this surface, and maybe it'll give the effect that I'm looking for. And I think that's what I'm gonna try. It would be cool if I could use this because, it's, like I said, it's flexible. If I were to get a bigger, thicker piece of foam, I would probably cut out this same pattern, the same size, and then slice up these individual spaces on it to separate it, and then maybe when I'm cutting it out of the whole piece of foam, maybe do angle cuts. So when it's flipped over, the angles will already be in it, and then you could glue it to the surface, and maybe that would work. But like I said, I'm at the point where I have to figure things out. So that's the direction I'm going in. So I'm about to speed the video back up. Okay, so I cut this up, and I could already see that I would have to do some sanding just to smooth these edges over. But I think that this is pretty close to the effect that I wanted. And I probably should have numbered these before I cut them, because now I have to figure out what was the sequence. I may not even need all of them now that they're cut like this at an angle. They might actually take up more space on the base than I expected. But anyway, yeah, so this might be exactly what I needed to pull off the effect that I'm looking for. But like I said, I have to smooth. I'm gonna have to work with these pieces to see what I could do to make them look good. So, I made a big mistake. Not a terrible mistake. It's more cosmetic than anything else, and since this is my suit, it doesn't matter, at least not to me. When I cut this foam, I should have changed blades because they weren't as sharp and precise as I needed them to be. And I was able to smooth out some of these gouges, but I don't want to go through the process of cutting all new foam. So I'm just gonna deal with this. But I'm showing you that these aren't perfect. And after I prime and paint them, I'm pretty sure that some of these nicks and cuts and imperfections will probably show up. But as a whole, when you look at the whole piece, it'll probably be barely noticeable. I think this is one of the reasons why a lot of guys have moved to 3D printing, because number one, you don't have to go through the process of trying to make and cut a bunch of things. You could basically print them out, but there is a lot of cleanup with the sanding and priming and everything else. So, you pick your poison. But anyway, so abs figured out. Now I'm going to see if I have any contact cement left and glue these pieces together. I think what I've decided is to get the effect that I want, I'm going to stack them, glue them to each other, and then I'm going to glue them once they're a solid piece. to this under, can't remember what I was going to call this, but to this ad piece. I'll glue them down here and then figure out how to connect the chest piece. I also need to heat all of this foam up. That'll also, like, pop out some of the gouges and make some of the little jagged pieces, I don't know, shrink, disappear, whatever. But anyway, I'm gonna do that and then I'll be back. Well, got everything cut out. Didn't get a chance to glue anything together. But this is how the abs will appear. These individual pieces of foam will be glued together, and then they'll be adhered to the base piece, and I'll attach the chest piece to that. I also cut out the shoulder, traps, side pieces. I got, like I said, all of the major pieces except for the shin guards and the gauntlets. Those are the only two pieces that I haven't transferred to foam. We'll get at it again tomorrow. Hopefully we'll get everything glued, and then maybe some paint. And then we'll be able to put it on the mannequin and, see how it looks before we start gluing anything to the mannequin. So, thank you for watching Master of None. Hopefully you're enjoying watching me get this costume together, and we'll do more tomorrow. Good night.